My name is Piotr Savsky from Emmanuel with Corazon Puro, coming to you from Missionary Formation Week Retreat. With me, I have Rem from Corazon Puro. Welcome, Rem.
Thank you. Thank you, Pete.
Rem, is there anything you'd like to share with us about yourself?
So, I'm Rem. I'm the affiliate coordinator of Pure Heart Philippines.
Yeah.
So they don't understand Spanish there. So,
Okay.
we say Pure Heart Philippines
Yeah.
then. I've been affiliate coordinator since last year in October. And yeah, with Pure Heart Philippines, we go on missions. I serve with approximately 20 other servers, and we go to different parishes, schools, partner organizations where we preach and share the good news of God's love, especially that which regards our identity, sexuality, and yeah, that's what I do.
Okay. Awesome. You said that you do missions, right? Where do you predominantly do your missions?
Um, Most part, we've been doing missions in the island where I live.
Okay.
So actually, the Philippines is composed of 7,107 or even more islands, and we are in Cebu, which is at the heart of the Philippines.
Okay.
It's where Christianity started as well.
Oh,
It's an
wow.
interesting fact. We just celebrated like 3 years ago our 500 years of Christianity.
Wow.
So Cebu has really a central part in terms of faith, and that is where we are based. So primarily, we do our missions in Cebu,
Okay.
with parishes, schools, organizations, and also thanks to our efforts to make known the message of theology of the body, of pure heart, of Corazon Puro. Uh, Sometimes we get invited as well to go to the different islands,
Oh, nice.
different places, different cities and dioceses,
Yeah.
to partner with them, or to go on mission to their places. So
Okay.
yeah, we've been traveling all around the country,
Oh,
a little
nice.
bit more than usual.
Do you do any missions outside of the country, or is it primarily just in the Philippines?
Primarily in the
Okay.
Philippines, yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Um, so we are in Missionary Formation Week, right? So how has the Missionary Formation Institute helped you follow Christ?
So in the Philippines, we actually do not have the CFRs there, the Franciscans of the Renewal.
Okay.
So we have always been accompanied by a different community, the Brothers and Apostolic Sisters of Saint John.
Okay.
And so for me personally, it has always been uh, a thing a desire that I had to be able to somewhat experience what it is to live of the spirit of Corazon Puro, since I think we're the farthest away from Corazon Puro, New York, and from the head
You
organization,
mean location, or do you mean okay? Yeah.
location wise, but I think like all the other affiliates, they're also like in Central
Ah,
America,
yeah.
the US. So
Yeah.
like we're the cousins, but too far away though.
Yeah.
And it's been really interesting and so exciting for me to have the opportunity to participate in the Missionary Formation Institute. However, coming here, I was met with a lot of surprises. Um, and it was a bit of a struggle, to be honest, because like like we had to give up having the comfort of laying on our beds. We're basically sleeping on floors.
Oh, wow.
And in terms of food, we just have rice and beans. But yeah, now
Cold
we have an
showers.
upgrade though,
Yeah.
with salt and pepper.
Yeah, nice. There we go.
But and then also like the use of phones. So that was a bit hard in terms of like letting go of all those stuff. But what I think that was a God moment for me when the following morning after the first day, like just going into prayer and just letting that sink in, that pain, but having that peace as well of God, it's yours.
Yeah.
You called me to be here. I'm ready to accept whatever you want to give.
Yeah.
If it meant to have no phones, not the best food that I may have, or not the bed that I would have like to have, or even to have a comforter, or I don't know how you call that.
Yeah. The pillow.
Yeah. So like, like I can give that up for you. So
Yeah.
it's been that experience for me so far, and I think that the Lord has really worked a lot in terms of purification.
Nice.
And yeah, I can only rejoice and give thanks for that.
Yeah, we were talking with I believe it was Lizette earlier today, and we mentioned um, that statement in the Bible where it was that the rich man, right? He followed all the commandments, he followed everything. He asked Jesus, "Oh, like, how can I guarantee heaven for myself?" And he said, "Sell everything and come with me. Follow the cross." And he was like, he couldn't, right? And it's in that moment where we start realizing maybe money isn't the thing, right? Maybe it's all these like comfort and desire and everything that we have that, like you said, once you lost it, it became almost like, huh, closer to you now. Like this makes sense, right? Um, can you go into a little bit deeper about maybe your thoughts on the like conditioning that they're doing for you guys? Like, do you think it's appropriate? Like, do you think it's like beneficial?
Um, if maybe I'd come in with my human perspective, I would say
Ah,
it's rude.
yeah.
Like it's violent. Like what?
Yeah, yeah.
But later on, like putting it into prayer and just trying to enter into
Mm,
the intention of the organizers, but
yeah,
also in the intention of God. But okay, I came here for God. I came here for Jesus.
yeah,
So, um, what does Jesus want me to learn during this experience?
yeah.
I've already had experiences of letting go,
Mm,
of depriving myself of some stuff.
yeah, yeah.
But I think that in the society where we live in, or at least in my experience, I realized that I have definitely, like, if I had let go of some things and found them again, I would have grasped them immediately and
Mm,
just taken advantage of it
yeah,
all the more, and not realizing that I've really attached myself into it. And I think that it's really good to have this experience of just stripping yourself of whatever is not necessary and discovering what's essential,
yeah.
what is essential for my growth in
Hmm.
faith, what is essential for my growth as a missionary. And that's what I came here for.
Yeah.
So I couldn't complain.
Yeah. Funny you mentioned that. How can you? One of the questions we have is how do you measure spiritual growth? How do you measure, like you yourself, measure your spiritual growth?
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting question, and I don't know if I may have a good answer for that because, for sure, spiritual growth is not something that's measurable. Anything that's spiritual is not measurable.
Yes, agreed.
But of course, human as we are created with a body as well,
Mm.
and through our humanity, we somewhat see signs where there's growth. You know, uh, I think that during my time with Corazon Puro, I've been with Corazon Puro for 4 years, first as a volunteer, then a server. But I realized more and more that, I'm one entire person. I'm created with a body, I'm created with a soul, and therefore, everything that is spiritual is also manifested in my body. There's unity in that. And so there's this desire for more prayer, desire to get to know more scriptures, desire to know more about what the church teaches, and desire to know more about oneself, to be able to give of oneself to others and to bring that gospel to others.
Yeah.
I think that there's really this unity as well of that um, spiritual union with God,
Mhm.
and also the capacity of being able to bring that to others, to encounter others, to
Yeah.
encounter God through others as
Yeah.
well. So I cannot measure it,
Yeah.
but when you love, you don't measure, you just give.
Amen. I
Yeah.
like that. Absolutely. Yeah, it's a question that I feel like it doesn't have a right answer because there is no levels, right? There's no like, oh, now I feel the love of God, so now I'm on level 50, then
Mm,
like you get to level whatever, it's like you said, it's a individualized experience, right? And that it's both body, soul, mind, right?
yeah.
Um, but you mentioned something earlier, and I kind of want to like question that. It's how can you promote spiritual growth in others? Right? You say you encounter it in others. How do you promote that within them?
Yeah, I think first of all, as a Christian, we are invited to um, develop and deepen that relationship with God. And I think that's a prerequisite. You cannot invite others to grow into spirituality or to go deeper in their relationship with God and not doing that for yourself. I think that it's necessary. St. Paul says in one of his letters that if I do not have love in me, if I do not have God, I would be like a gong that's just ringing without any sense.
Mm.
And I think that it's really important to develop that the theological virtues, faith, hope, and charity in oneself. Receiving that those gifts from God, and also trying to cultivate them, so that when I can go out there on mission, I can be a testimony. My life will be a witness to others,
Mm.
and maybe, and at times that happens when people actually are edified by your life testimony than the words that you say. I
Yeah.
mean, of course,
Yeah.
there's also the power of preaching,
Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
but I think the stronger testimony,
Yeah.
the stronger witness, is the fact that they see you living your life in the same way as Christ does.
1,000% agree. This quote again, I if a quote that changed my life, and I feel like I should know it better, but it's that in basically you're living, right? The way you experience with other people, right? It's live your life as if you are the only Catholic this person will ever meet, and like strive to be that living, like to it's like mirror the living God, right? Because you never know if that person will ever get the chance to know Jesus, right?
Yeah.
And so, like you said, sometimes just the way you are, right? Your witness in life, not even the words you speak, just the way you are, is enough for them to be like, why is that guy like that? Why is he so like surrounded by love, you know? But you mentioned mission. Do you mind going into what you think are the ups and downs of mission, right? So what are like the positives, what are the negatives, and what kind of surprised you about mission work?
Yeah. So there's actually a lot of ups and downs in mission. I would-
Yeah, I believe it.
I think one of the highlights of missions would be the fact that um, you are given that opportunity to bring the gospel to others. As I mentioned
Yeah.
earlier, like even just by your life testimony or by preaching, it's one another way. But yeah, the opportunity to encounter others, and believe it or not, I'm actually an introvert person.
Oh, okay.
But when you put me into mission, like
Yeah.
I can like
Yeah.
literally go out of myself, and I think that's one of the great things about mission, because
Yeah.
it brings you out
Yeah. Yeah.
of your shell and to encounter others. And I think that's the beautiful thing in it. And what in addition, it's not necessarily because of your own skills, your own
Mhm.
power. Uh, Jesus, I know that Jesus sends me. I'm convinced of that. And so when you go on mission, uh, it's different.
Yeah.
Like you're not going there to bring yourself.
Mhm.
You're going there to bring Jesus, and that changes the whole perspective
Yeah.
on mission. Um, there's also this joy of being able to see the growth in others.
Mm.
During my missions, I've been able to witness conversions. I've been able to witness as well, like how people were moved by our retreats or by talks that we have given, and like it really just gives us so much joy as
Yeah.
missionaries. Like, wow, God can actually use me as an instrument for His grace to work, and it's not to my credit.
Yeah.
It's like Mother Teresa who says, like, Lord, use me as a pencil, like a pencil in
Yes.
your hand,
Yes.
and just allowing the Lord to work through me,
Yeah.
and recognizing that I am an instrument, and
Yeah.
and there's just so much thanksgiving, overflowing thanksgiving in that.
Yeah.
Another one of the ups as well is uh, that experience of community and
Mm.
fellowship. I feel like um, we never go on mission alone.
Yeah.
Um, like for example, in Pure Heart Philippines, we make sure that there's at the minimum two, ideally three,
Yeah.
but when there's more, all the better.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that community and fellowship aspect is very, very important. It just it's like when Jesus says, like, when two or three are gathered in your name, there I will be in their midst. And
Yeah.
it just really, like, strengthens that that community. When there's two or three,
Yeah.
Jesus is there. It doesn't mean that when I'm alone,
Yeah.
Jesus is not there. But
Yeah.
like, when Jesus sends his apostles two
Yes.
by two as well,
Exactly. Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
So and community life, fellowship, it's a beautiful thing. It has its struggles as well, but there's so much beauty in it, discovering more about the others, how to collaborate and work with others, and how to actually live in community
Yeah.
in the spirit of Christ. That's also a different thing. I've been speaking about ups. Let's go to the downs.
There it is.
I think one of the greatest struggles for me in mission is actually the lack of people
Okay.
in terms of manpower for missions.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Um, many are called, but few are chosen. And uh, beautiful the mission work may be, it doesn't attract as much people to commit and engage
Yeah.
to serving.
Yeah.
And for us, like I know, like since I took on the leadership, like there's just been so many things that we've done over the past months, and I can just really feel as well that sometimes like we have to stretch the manpower because like for a month we have 4 missions, about 3 outside the island, and so and then we have 2 more in the city on weekdays, and like where do I get all these
Yeah.
people to work for me? um it's hard. And also like it's in connection to that, there's also the difficulty of having people to commit fully. And
Yeah.
like I mean, no judgments at all, but there are times when you have people who say yes, but in the end like they can't go on mission
Yeah.
because they have such thing, and of course like everything has um to be decided in prudence.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, as a leader I try to work around that.
Yes.
But I think that still in connection to
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
would be the communication.
Okay.
Yeah. There's sometimes like it's really difficult to get through a message because there's a lack of communication
Mm-hmm.
in terms of missionaries, or even with the partners that we have in terms of like missions. So yeah, other things would be uh just the fact that uh, we feel like we are um, not so equipped to go on mission.
Okay.
Um, very recently we had a mission in Dumaguete, which is a neighboring city on another island in Cebu, where I come from. And originally there were 6 missionaries who signed up for that.
Okay.
And 3 days, literally 3 days before we were going to leave, because we have to cross the sea, we have to ride a boat, all that.
Mm-hmm.
3 missionaries,
Said no.
yeah.
Wow.
And like, okay, Lord, what do we do?
Yeah.
But like just trusting, and of course, like there was no way for us to say like, no, I'm sorry, we can't go there.
Yeah.
We've committed to
You
go
have
there,
to go.
and we have
Yeah.
to go. And so we went there, and we had one missionary who felt so incapable to do to give a talk or to give a testimony. And like, okay, so like we try to support as much as possible. And yeah, I mean, sometimes that happens, and like like with my missionary, like it's fine, like you know it's always good to start somewhere
Yeah.
anyway. And and maybe for us it's a lesson to maybe come more prepared, especially when we know that there could be situations where that we can't anticipate,
Yeah.
and then we have to improvise. So
Yeah.
things like that. I don't know if I have to say more, but I think I've said a lot already. But
Yeah,
yeah.
no, but it showed us a kind of a, because everyone that we've interviewed so far, they've been more talking about like their personal kind of like, oh, like I didn't know there was gonna be cold showers and stuff, and you kind of went into, which is amazing, different perspective on it, where you came from a leadership perspective,
Mm.
right? Where you are talking about like trying to keep it together, right? And it's almost like you take on this role of like Jesus, right? And
Mm.
dealing with the apostles and being how unruly they were and how unruly some missionaries can be,
Yeah.
right? And so do you feel like you're filling in the big man's shoes?
Yeah, I actually do. And having taken on the leadership role for Pure Heart Philippines. I really wanted to be first of all a servant, before being a leader,
Yeah.
and I think that that changes as well the way I try to lead the group. Well, following Jesus' example,
Mm-hmm.
well, um, no slave is greater than the master, and the master washed the feet of his disciples. So
Amen.
I tried to follow his example in the
Yeah.
best way I could,
Yeah.
and I'm not qualified, and I'm not the best example for that, but I try my best at
Yeah.
least. And yeah, and it's a big responsibility. Like as a servant leader,
Mm-hmm.
like it takes a lot of humility as
It
well to
does.
just receive as well, like what others say. And like I've had experiences recently where my fellow missionaries would tell me, "Oh, why is that happening? Why isn't this so chaotic?" Like,
Yeah.
and like, I'm sorry, like I messed up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as a man, it's
Yeah.
hard to swallow one's
Yes.
pride,
Pride. Yes.
but I mean, I can't excuse myself,
Yeah.
like and yeah, and I think that it's really important to put the welfare of others and the mission before my own
Yeah.
interests
Yeah.
as a leader.
Yeah.
Um and anyway, the goal and the objective is to make the mission be fruitful, not only for the missionaries but also to the people that we serve.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you're doing your job well. You know what I mean? No, but that's what it is. Like if you put your people before you, it will never be like this like crack of the whip and like everyone falls into line. It becomes this kind of like living, breathing kind of thing, which is beautiful. And it's anything that's worth doing is not easy, right? And it's the same thing with following Christ, right? He never said, "Hey, it's gonna be easy." He said, "Take up your cross, walk," and that's what it is, right? At the end of
Mm,
the day.
yeah.
Um, so moving along, we kind of want to hear, what are you passionate about, both in your life but also in your ministry?
So, I'm really an outdoorsy person.
Nice. Me too.
I love, yeah, I love hiking. So I actually just spent 10 days in Anchorage in Alaska.
Jealous.
I've been invited to facilitate a young adult summer institute,
Awesome.
and there was like a four in the middle of it, in the middle of the retreat. There was a 4-day hike. So I just
That's
love it.
awesome.
Although the first night there was like heavy rain, it was
Yeah.
so cold, so we
Yeah.
had to
Moving
make our
back.
way back.
Yeah, yeah.
But we went through the end part of the trail. But anyway, that was really good. Yeah, I'm so passionate about the Camino de Santiago. I don't know if you've heard about it.
No.
It's a way of Saint James.
Okay.
It's the Santiago de Compostela Cathedral bears the relics of Saint James,
Oh, wow.
the Apostle, and for centuries, people have been doing this pilgrimage from their doorstep up to Spain, and they walk for hundreds, thousands of kilometers just to pay homage to Saint James.
Yes, yes. I've heard of this. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I actually did it like 2 months ago.
Wow.
I did it last year. 4 years ago, I did it for 30 days. So,
Where did you start, if you don't mind me asking?
my first one, I
Yeah.
started it 4 years ago. I started in Notre Dame du Puy. It's in
Yeah.
France.
Yes.
And then I ended in Lourdes.
Wow.
And then last year I started in Porto. So that was after World Youth Day.
Yes.
I started in Porto and then went up to Santiago de Compostela.
Wow.
And then this year I started in Ferrol, which is northwest of Spain,
Yeah.
and then arrived in Santiago as well.
Wow.
I was doing fundraising at the same time for
Okay.
Pure Heart Philippines
Awesome.
on that walk.
Awesome.
Yeah. Other than that, I'm also passionate about music. I love music.
Nice.
I tried to write, but I don't think it's just my gift.
Mm.
But I love to sing. I love to, play the guitar and do that. Yeah.
Awesome.
So,
What are you passionate about in your ministry?
in my ministry, I'm really passionate about encountering other people,
Okay.
regardless of where they're from, what they do, and just seeing them grow.
Yeah.
That's really something that I have in my heart, that I always want to, like, when I go on mission, like, it's just such a joy to encounter new people, and for some at least to also like open themselves up and see their growth, see
Yeah.
their and hear more about them. That just like gives so much joy for me. um Also, working with others.
Yeah.
um I really am passionate about being in a part of a group and a community in a collaborative effort to make things happen
Yeah.
and to accomplish my vision,
Hmm.
our vision as an organization, as a community. And Yeah, and with that, like, there's just so many things in my mind, to be honest. Like,
Yeah.
my team is just like, grabbing my feet down because there's just a lot of things that I'm passionate
Yeah.
about with
Yeah.
mission. I want to do this, I want to do that.
Yeah.
I want us to do that particular activity, but like, hey, like,
Yeah.
let's keep our feet
Yeah.
on the ground. And
Yeah.
I'm just so thankful that I have a team that helps me keep grounded.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are the things I'm passionate about in ministry.
And is that like, what is your like center for ministry? I guess like, what is the main kind of a goal for you in ministry?
In ministry, my main goal is to really um, encourage young people to have an encounter with Christ.
Okay.
I myself was a reconvert. I don't know if you say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I grew up as a Catholic, and then at a certain point in life, when I was 10, like, my whole family went to a different church, which wasn't Christian. Spent a few years there, and then after that, like, I went out of faith. I didn't practice anything, and then at 15, I encountered Christ in a very strong way at the Eucharist, in adoration, and I felt so much joy in that encounter that I was so much on fire to share that with others. And I think that fire that burned in my heart, I was just carrying it up until now, where I want people to discover what I discovered.
Mhm.
It's like, in the gospel, like, you cannot throw a pearl to the swine.
Yeah.
Like, when you discover that pearl, you have to share it with others. You have to, you have to um, make people discover that great treasure that we have found, that I have found personally, and that is Christ.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah.
Amen. Yeah. Very good. So, with a heavy heart, the final question: why is it difficult to remain faithful to God?
I think that um, there's just so much going on in the society, in the world, that makes it difficult to be faithful to God.
Yeah.
Um, I myself had an experience where I also asked myself, have I been faithful to God? Um, just to share, I was a religious for 11 years, and you know when I was in that religious order, I've always thought that like, this is where my place is. I'm giving of myself to God, and at the time when I realized that that community wasn't for me, I have always thought, like, have I been unfaithful to God because I'm leaving the community?
Mm-hmm.
And but on the contrary, I had really that great peace in my heart that God tells me that to be faithful to God means to keep His word, and to really be at peace of just trusting Him wherever He leads you, and that is faithfulness.
Yes.
Faithfulness to the will of God. It may be something very different from what we think we should do.
Yeah.
And with my experience, like, I just thought that it was, oh, what would people say? People would say, he has been unfaithful. But I think that ultimately it's really about doing the will of God, and having that peace. And also, like, the society tells you a lot of things, shows you a lot of things. We
Mm-hmm.
live in an over hyper sexualized world. There's so much going on. There's just a lot of issues that make it more difficult for one to be faithful.
Yeah.
I've never seen things like that when I was growing up. And now, like on TV, you see all sorts of stuff. Music,
Yeah.
I love music and I listen to music, and music that sometimes I realize later on upon reading or singing it that, oh, there's something wrong in this,
Yeah.
and like we don't realize it, but we live in that kind of environment, and we don't realize that slowly it's taking us away from God.
Yeah.
And hence there's the importance of, like, you know practicing virtue, and I think that's how we can cooperate with God's grace.
Yeah.
Like, we don't become chaste uh in one
Yeah.
go.
Overnight. Yeah.
Overnight, we don't become temperate, just,
Yes.
or
Yes.
prudent. Definitely God gives us the grace for that. And faith is also a grace, faith is also a gift, and to be faithful is also a gift. And I think that it's something that we should beg for and ask for every day of our lives. Like, we can never say that, okay, like, now I'm good, I have enough faith, and it's fine and I'm good.
Yeah.
No, like, you have to kneel every day and do that act of faith, so that you know little by little it becomes inhabited in us. I don't know if we can say
Yeah.
that, but
Yeah.
like, like, it's deeply rooted in our being, that
Yeah.
in those little things we can be faithful. And uh, that's the beauty of what the saints teach us as well. um they have been faithful in the little things that God has given them. I think particularly of Saint Therese of the Child Jesus,
Yeah.
who is one of my favorite
Mhm.
saints. Doing little things with great love, and it's in doing those little things that you become faithful.
Yeah. Wow. Amen to that. Rem, thank you for being here. Is there any ideas or thoughts you'd like to bestow upon our audience?
Yeah. So, um, thank you very much for listening to us. I would like to invite you all to support our mission in Pure Heart, Philippines. We are doing a lot of work in the Philippines, especially with the young people. We want to share with them the beauty of God's love, the beauty of the Catholic teaching on sexuality. And if you could just support us in our mission, and if you would also like to join us in our mission, you're most welcome. You may reach us through our social media pages or website. So don't hesitate, and let's serve the Lord together.
Amen.
Amen.